Hello, I'm Tom and welcome to the Welsh Woodman Workshop. In tonight's video I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 tips for using CA glue for wood turners. So I hope you enjoy. So before we begin, what is CA glue? So CA stands for cyanacrylate, which is a bit of a mouthful, so hence CA for short, and it belongs to a family of strong, rapidly setting adhesives, and they tend to set with water or moisture in the air, commonly also referred to as super glues. So the brand of CA glue we're going to be using in tonight's projects are from a company called Starbond. Now, I would highly recommend these. They've been absolutely brilliant. Starbond as a company were kind enough to send me a little tester pack to have a play around with. I've been doing that for over the last 2 months, making sure I was 100% happy with the products before even sharing it on my channel, and I have to say, fully converted, really top quality CA glue, especially the applicators, which we'll have a look at later, and would highly recommend to anyone looking for a top quality CA glue that's going to do the job well. Now, for all my followers, I've got a 10% discount code in the video description below, so as you're going to purchase one of these from the website, you can type that in and save yourself quite a bit of money off the product. So I hope that's helpful for you. So the glues themselves, they come in different viscosities. So you have a medium, thick and thin. This is really awesome for wood turners, as if you want a thin coat of CA glue, like for finish, that we'll talk about later on, that's perfect for the application. And the thinner the CA glue is, the faster it will set with the moisture. So if you want something more long setting, like thick, that would be ideal. Really cool about these products is it comes in a different colours. So I've got a brown, which is ideal for knots and things, which we'll look at later, and also a black, which is awesome for cracks. To speed up the process of solidifying the adhesives, we've got this little accelerator, which is essentially adding moisture into the what you're gluing up, which will really quicken up the gluing process. So inside these little packs, and this is why I like this CA glue more than other companies, is we've got the instructions. Obviously read those first of all. We've got a bottle there with a sealed lid. This is the cool part. We've got 2 applicators there for the top, so if they do break or they do get clogged up, like I've had in the past with other brands, you've got those to hand. And especially into model making or miniature turning, we've got these mini applicators in there, and you can use those for really, really fine, detailed work. So tip number 1 is to utilise magnets. Now, CA glue is awesome for gluing on magnets. If you're like me, you're constantly putting your pencil down looking for it around the shop, or you drop it in the wood shavings, we're going to be using some rare earth magnets to add some super glue to them to make the pencils magnetic, so we can whack it onto the lathe itself. There's a little dot there. It's probably a good idea you wear some gloves for this. It doesn't tend to like sticking to your skin. So we're going to put it on there, hold it, and wait for that to set. Off to the lathe or any other woodworking machinery like your table saw, and it's easy then to grab. They're always to hand, and you're not going to lose them anywhere, and you're more likely to put them back to something that it sticks to than just leave it around the workshop. So another top tip for gluing on the magnets with the super glue, I've got an LED strip light here, and that fits lovely on the front side of my tool rest. My tool's along the top, so it doesn't affect the rest at all, but what it does do is allows you to illuminate inside your deep bowls, your hollow forms, your open forms, and see a lot better then as you're looking into the forms as to how well your finish is, and if you've got any tool marks that need to be removed before moving on to the next step. So another way you can use the magnets is for your tool holders. Now, by gluing in the rare earth magnets to the top, allows the tools to be in place, less likely to fall then onto the floor, damage the tips of the tools, which can be costly. So good to keep them secure. So pen turning, you've got these little brass barrels that you need to glue into the wooden blanks. Now, CA glue is ideal for doing that. I tend to like using the medium glue for this. Now, I've got a little jig I've set up that saves you so much time. So it's an old drill bit that was gone blunt masonry bit, ground it down slightly, and I'm going to put the brass tube over the top, put my lathe up, and I'm going to be using some rough coarse sandpaper, and this will become all keyed up then, ready for gluing. So how I glue in these brass rods, you can see by keying it up really nicely, it's going to fit lovely inside the hole, and those key marks are going to help the glue adhere to it a bit more. So I've got a tapered bar in the vise. I'm going to use a bit of beeswax to go over the bar. That will stop the brass tube from sticking it to it if a tiny bit of super glue, or CA glue I should say, goes astray. So I'm going to come nice thin bead along the top, like so. Ebony then, as I'm putting it on, I'm going to twist. That's going to spread the glue around the hole and around the tube itself. See, it's there in the end. Leave it for a couple of seconds. I'm going to use a knife then to scrape it off the tube, and it should be careful with my fingers as I do this, should be nice and set then in there. So you can see in the ebony, ready to turn into a nice pen. So just finished turning a profile of some pen blanks, and I'm going to be using the thin CA glue to apply a finish. Now if you want a really detailed video on turning pens, I've got one of those on my channel, so feel free to check that out. So I'm going to put a few dots of the CA glue into the paper towel. So turn the speed down quite low. And it's going to absorb quite a lot into this wood because it's a punky spalted bit of beech. Another couple of dots onto the paper towel. And you'll notice I've got nylon washers in the way rather than the metal washers. Otherwise I find that the metal washers tend to stick to the mandrel, whereas these nylon ones don't. So a tiny amount goes a long way. And we have to build up this finish, so we sand in between each one. So here are the pens we've turned with the CA finish, and you can see you get a really nice shiny sort of glossy finish on these, and you can even get like a mirror finish if you want to sand a load and start reapplying some. Not really one for shiny wood myself, so these are more than good enough for me for a nice sort of finish there to sell on. So we're going to look at an application for thick CA glue. Now I've got a wood turn bowl there. So the outside of that has actually got a CA finish on, so you can see the sort of finish you can get from the CA product. But it's developed a crack down the middle due to the heat in the room, so we're going to be using some thick CA to fill the crack. So I'm going to put a bit of accelerator in the crack edge, so when we put this on it'll help it set even faster. So I'm going to run a bead of the CA glue along the crack. I'm just going to fill up the crack there. So that should take up the void. Now if I want this to set a little bit faster, just put a tiny bit of activator over the top, and that'll be ready to sand. It'll probably reinforce this crack then, rather than it going further apart. So you can have a look how the camera's picking that because I can't see, but it's got like a bead there and it's already hard. Look, I put my finger over it in the crack, so it's filled above. So I need to sand these back now. I'll do that in the direction of the grain, and that'll have rescued the bulb. So I've got a lovely piece of spalted beech, one of the few checks. Now what's brilliant about spalted beech is you've got these beautiful black lines coming through, but because we've got these checks it makes it a little bit iffy to turn. So I'm going to be using some black CA glue and to fill in these cracks. Again, to speed up this process I'm going to spray the activator into the crack I want to fill, and I can squeeze the glue then into this crack, and when this is set and sanded back, it'll just appear as a black spalted line in the workpiece, rather, see, like it's quite similar to that spalted line there. So rather than it standing out, so this is going to give it a little bit of structural strength. You see this black glue is pretty cool. And if I want that to set pretty rapidly again, I can just wait a couple of minutes, or I can just spray that over the top. That's almost instantly set then. So I touch it with my finger, yeah, that's dry to the touch. So there's so many different uses for this black CA glue I can think of. Just to name a few: sign my name with a Dremel tool, then use the CA glue to fill in the signature, which looked pretty cool on the bottom of one of my larger bowls. So it's a little bit like epoxy resin, but acts a lot faster than the resin itself. So it's fun to have a play. If you can think of any more uses for this black CA glue, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll have a go at trying that out myself. So with spalted or punky wood, so spalting is essentially like a fungus attacking the tree. You can see we get these beautiful sort of lines, black lines coming through, and we get like a lighter colour as well. Now that lighter colour that comes through, it's through fungal rot, and essentially it can be a lot weaker than the other wood. So there's a bit of spalted beech in this example. What you can do is use a bit of thin CA glue, or medium even, to go over the top, and you can squeeze that in over the top. It's better to do this after you've turned your form, but I'll just show you on this. And it's going to absorb that glue. Let me just show you. So it's going to absorb that glue in the area. So it's going to take it in, pores are going to absorb it up, which is going to toughen up that area, which they can be quite weak as well. So you just let that dry in, let it solidify. You can use the activator again to speed up the process if you want. But I would suggest turning a bowl form first before you do this, or another object, and it just really helps strengthen that rotted material. So another tip with spalted or punky sort of timber, you can put the glue around the tenant that you want to clamp your jaws, your chuck around, or you can even put a little bit of CA glue inside the mortise. Wait for it to set, obviously, before you put the jaws round, but I found that really reinforces the wood and avoids it from expanding out too much into that sort of horrible punky wood that can be really soft sometimes. So it's a good tip if you want a nice strong hold on horrible wood like this example. So if you're like me, you might have turned a few sort of funnels or lampshades in your time. I'm going to show you where you can quickly rescue these now using some CA glue. Making sure the shoulder's nice and square. Okay, going to trial them out. Okay, give them a twist. It's creaking, that's a good sign. So we've just got it so it's coming through. So we're going to put a bit of PVA glue around there on the inside of this, and then we're going to use super glue to super glue it to this back plate. And the advantage then of using CA glue rather than the PVA, you're going to get like an instant grab. It's going to be rapid in terms of the setting time compared to PVA where you've got about half an hour to wait. It's good. Right, so obviously this is a green bowl, so a little bit out of centre, but as soon as that glue sets, we'll be able to true up the outside and the inside and save the bowl. Glue on the outside of this. There we go. And on this piece too. I'm going to work quite quickly with this. So the wood glue, when it sets, is going to give it the strength, but the CA glue is going to set rapidly within seconds, especially if I apply an activator to it, and that's just going to become our clamp. So rather than clamping this on awkwardly, We're using the CA glue. Oh, let's get this lined up. Work quickly now. Work. Now a little tip I picked up from Simon Hope is to apply some CA glue to the threads. I'm going to use medium in this case. Again, turn the lay speed down nice and low. Now by adding CA glue around where you're going to be threading, that's going to help the wood strengthen. So you can use softer woods. In this case I'm using sycamore, which is really soft, rather than a really expensive sort of dense wood like boxwood. Let that set, use my accelerator to speed it up. So by adding the moisture again, helps this set up a lot faster. Nice low speed again. You want to make sure it's set before you feed in the chasing tool again. You can see it's almost like turning resin then coming off the top with the super glue, the hard super glue, which is good. So if you're wood turning natural edge bowls, and that's bowls with the bark still on, it's probably a good idea to run a bead of super glue along the bark line, and that'll help keep the bark in place, especially as you're turning. And the trees that have been felled in the winter tend to keep their bark a lot better than the trees that have been felled in the summer for some reason. So anyone clever that knows that, please let me know in the comments. So running the bead of that is going to help secure this to the bowl. So a big top tip for storage then, if you store the glues in the refrigerator, it's going to really prolong the life of the glue itself. And that's another reason why I like the Starbond, is it's got a really long shelf life. So if you don't use it for a long while, it's not going to dry up in the bottle, which is good. Thank you ever so much for watching. Hope the tips and the tricks in the video come in real handy for you. Please do let me know if you do use them in the comments below, or if you've got any of your own tips and tricks you'd like to share to help the wood turning community out. I'd also love to hear from you as well. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you'd like to see more content like this, you can click the subscribe button down below and the bell icon, which will notify you when the new content is coming out. Now, if you'd like to further support the channel, you can use the affiliate link down below, which will give you 10% off all Starbond products. So if you want some fantastic CA glue, I would recommend using that link. And I really appreciate the support from all my subscribers as well. Thank you ever so much for watching. Hope you have a great night. Diolch yn fawr. Nos da.